Revelation 1755. From the 29th of December 1940. Fight of evil against good. Worthlessness of possession. You should be grateful to the Lord for everything, for it only proves His love. Whatever each day may bring you is ordained by God and always for your good, even if it seems incomprehensible to you. For the Spirit of eternity directs and guides everything, and His guidance is truly wise and loving above all else. And nothing is without meaning and purpose. And therefore trust the divine guidance and only ever seek to recognize divine activity of love in you in every earthly adversity, and every day will be a blessing for you. As long as the human being resists good spiritual influence, his nature will be unsteady and depressed, sullen and dissatisfied, or even indifferent, careless, pleasure-seeking and intent on earthly pleasures. For he does nothing to fight against it, he leaves his will to the working of ignoble spiritual forces which now do their utmost to keep him away from the influence of good power. And therefore it is also very difficult to bring spiritual knowledge closer to such people. What now repels is the will of those bad beings which completely dominate the human being, and thus the evil in the human being fights against the good which wants to help him. And this spiritual battle makes itself felt in great inner dissatisfaction. The human being is well aware of the fact that his state is not perfect, and yet his will is too weak to remedy it as long as he leaves it to the opposing power. And the struggle will continue until he has completely abandoned himself to one power or the other. Surrendering himself to the good spiritual forces will soon bring him inner peace, and a conscious striving towards God will be the result. Yet to completely abandon himself to the evil forces will likewise result in a pleasant life for him, yet only in an earthly sense, for this evil power now fulfills the human being's every desire in order to keep him away from spiritual thoughts. The adversary gives him fulfillment of earthly desires and thereby ties him to himself with firm bonds. The struggle for such souls is extremely difficult and can only be successful if the good beings succeed in arousing in them an aversion against what they hotly desire. And thus the human being begins to think about the value or unvalue of what he possesses. Then there is again a possibility of influencing him mentally, and the struggle of the pure against the impure spiritual begins anew. But the human being only learns to recognize the worthlessness of possessions when he sees how quickly they can pass away. And therefore God Himself often intervenes when the adversary has succeeded in his intrigue and has thoroughly shaped the human being's mind materially. Then God opposes it with His will and allows that which holds the human heart captive to fall prey to destruction. He takes away people's possessions in various ways by determining the forces of nature to obey His will, or by allowing the work of Satan himself, who drives people to destroy the works of creation, to become a blessing for the individual human being after all, provided the human being sees the suffering that now affects him as divine providence and surrenders, thus also beginning to recognize the worthlessness of earthly possessions. Amen.